This video we're going to be taking a look at the lofted boss bases and boundary surface boss bases. Both are very similar to each other. One may give a little bit better surface finish, but they're basically very interchangeable. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a new document, a new part to begin with. So we go up to New, Part is selected, click OK. And that brings us to our first page here. So then we're going to click on our front plane is our plane we're going to start with for this diagram. Sketch, sketch. And now we have our plane sketched here and we have our origin of our plane. So let's start off and we're going to draw an ellipse. We're just going to do a simple shape in this case. So I'm going to draw an ellipse. I'm going to click and drag out and click my first value, which would be my horizontal value. Then I'm going to click a vertical value, a height, and that gives me my two sides of my ellipse. In this case, let's do our radius for the horizontal value as 1.0 and our height as 0.5. Okay, and then there's our ellipse. Okay, now basically what we're going to be doing with a lofted boss base or a boundary surface is we're going to be joining two different figures together. So that means I need to have another figure. And what I need to do in this case, I'm going to go to Exit Sketch, and to get my next figure that I want to join this to, I'm going to go to Features, Reference Geometry, and I'm going to create a new plane. And my first reference is going to be my first plane that I started with. So I click on my feature tree, and I click on front plane, and I want to be parallel, and let's say we're going to be 4 inches away from my first plane. Okay, now if I click my mouse button, hold and rotate it, you can see where my new plane is compared to where my first plane was. And let's get back to be normal to that plane. Now we're going to sketch on this plane, and I'm going to do a center rectangle. And let's just draw a rectangle here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And let's dimension that rectangle as, let's go 5 inches by 3 inches. Okay. And I can exit my sketch again. And so now I've got a circle or an ellipse on one plane and a rectangle on the other plane. So now let's go to joining them together. Let's start with the boundary boss base. And so as you see, the description says, adds material between profiles in 2 directions to create solid features. So that can be kind of handy if you're doing 2 directions or even just in 1 direction. So right now in direction 1 are going to be the items that I am attaching together. So sketch 2, which is my rectangle because it's already been selected. Click on the feature tree, select section or sketch 1, and you can see it's going to connect our 2 objects. But there's kind of a twist in here. We don't want that kind of twist in here, so what can we do? Well, what we can do then is see where these green dots are. We can move those green dots, and that changes where our values are. You can see in this case I kind of moved it quite a bit in this case, and let's move this maybe up here. That gives a little bit better looking value. And if I can play with that a little bit too, you can see how changing where that position is changes how your lines attach. Okay, and if we click OK, now we have our object. We've added material between our 2 profiles to get a particular shape. And so this almost kind of looks like a speaker, a megaphone type speaker. So we could go ahead and really quickly add another little feature in here. We could shell this and leave it at 0.1 thick from face 1. And now we have a hollow object. Okay, whether it's a cone or you could cut a hole in this back end then, and that would be our speaker base, for example, or whatever we're trying to make in that particular case. Okay, so that's your boundary surface. Now I'm going to just go back and delete those features so that we can just take a look at what the difference is between the boundary surface and a loft boss base. So if I go to loft boss base, I'm going to do the same thing. I need to pick my profiles, which are going to be sketch 1 and sketch 2. And you can see it gives us a nice simple value that we can work with. It gives us the same type of feature that we had with the boundary surface. And the same thing will happen is we'll be able to pick and move. If I go back to edit my feature, it's got these green dots. I can click and move the green dots around to find the best place that I want it to be at to give the type of surface that I'm looking for. Okay? And so we can join many surfaces together. You could add another plane and do another figure and join your materials there. So you have a lot of different options to use with the lofted boss base or boundary surface.